Well, time, my friends, to check if there's a choc ice in the freezer, see if you can put some popcorn in the microwave. You've got the full cinema experience in your front room, courtesy of me, Paul Ross, but above all, the main man when it comes to about this movie-related, one of the country's leading film critics, rather fine podcaster too, our old mate, Van Connor joins us once again. Good morning, Van. How's your week been, matey?
Do you know, I can't possibly complain, Mr. Ross. I've had a bit of a light week this week. It's been a nice, breezy, kind of semi-week off, like part-time. It's been nice. How are you doing?
Same kind of thing, although I've been coming here every day without much of a voice, because there's some kind of lurgy going around here. I don't know if it's my imagination, there doesn't seem to be a big film release for this weekend, or is there? I suppose we're still reeling with Furiosa on the way, and with the Planet of the Apes film still knocking about.
I think we've got If, which is the big thing this weekend. The Ryan Reynolds Ryan Reynolds starring, John Krasinski director. Yeah, the Imaginary Friend one, which seems like fun, but it seems to be more younger family oriented, I think.
Okay, let's start with your first recommendation, which, while it features families, is definitely not young family oriented, is it?
But, I mean, it involves the young, but it's definitely not family-oriented. This is You Were Never Really Here from 2017. This was Lynn Ramsey's movie, she wrote and directed, with Joaquin Phoenix. And you might remember about 3 years after this, you and I, just before lockdown, watched him win the Oscar for Joker. And I said, this was the wrong movie. He should have won this 3 years ago for You Were Never Really Here. And I maintain that. This is Joaquin Phoenix as effectively the Punisher, a war vet who ekes out a living being hired to rescue abducted children being sold to slavery, takes on the task of rescuing a kidnapped senator's daughter from slavery using only a hammer and a set of leather gloves. It is really brutal. It is Joaquin Phoenix at his most psychotic, and I absolutely love it. And he's on.
You don't actually see any splatter violence, do you, in the film? It's also he's cleaning hammers or getting rid of gloves or whatever he's doing, and you know, oh dear, them bad guys aren't going to kidnap any more children. But it's not. You don't see anything. It's just a really disturbing film because of the way his character works out and the people he has to deal with. These evil lowlifes, degenerates.
Yes, very 8mm territory. It's really sort of a lot implied off screen, like that David Fincher, sort of Andrew Kevin Walker 8mm 7 kind of territory going into here. But it's just the image of Joaquin Phoenix as this absolutely just terrified, like introspective killer. It's brilliant. It's a wonderful performance, and I do think he should have been Oscar nominated. It's a shame he wasn't. But you can see this tonight, as I say, 11:50. It's a 10 to midnight film for. Stay up and watch this, or at the very least record it. It's so good. Got a clip for you. This is Joaquin Phoenix taking on his assignment and getting his direction.
235 East 31st Street. That's what the text said. You have kids, Joe? No. Nina. Her name is Nina. I've heard of these places. Underage girls. Senator, if she's there, I'll get her. McCleary said you were brutal. I can be. I need this. Heat to suggest 3 a.m. Hotel Carib, room 701. I want you to hurt them.
Oh, it's a very chilling film, that one. Great first recommendation. My film could not be more different. That had an independent feel to it. It felt kind of claustrophobic. It felt very intense. It felt almost kind of... It's not an art film. It had that feeling. Our next film was stylish, had swagger, rebooted James Bond and made $1 gazillion. It is, of course, Daniel Craig's first outing as 007 in Casino Royale from, I think, 2006. It's on ITV1, 11:10 tonight. It's an absolute... Of course, it's a cracker. It's the first one of this, and I like the follow-up, Quantum of Solace, I myself, that was brilliant as well, but this one is great because it goes almost back to the 1953 original novel, and it's about, Bond's assignment is, first of all, to get his 00 license to kill, Monica, and I don't mean a woman, of course, there's plenty of those along the way, I mean, you know, the official title, and he does that by having to kill 2 people. That opening sequence alone is worth the money, particularly the second killing. You're going to hear that in the trailer, a bit of that. And then, of course, his job is to bankrupt a terrorist supplier, or international terrorist called Le Chiffre, played by Mads Mikkelsen at his maddest, through high-stakes poker games. So it's got a real 1950s gentleman's club kind of vibe to it, this film. And I remember going along thinking, Die Another Day was all right, science fiction-y, Bond's days are over. And once again, I fell victim of human bondage. It really rekindled my love of Bond, this film did.
Yeah, Daniel Craig does certainly make an impression on this first round. It is a really ballsy, really all-out go at rebooting Bond.
When you say that, you're not going to the budgie smugglers, when you use those kind of words such as ballsy and all-out.
I said out, not bulging, sir. Okay. So, yeah, still. But you know what? It's a great movie. Like, when you get to the cinematography, the Martin Campbell direction, the music, like that brilliant theme song by Chris Cornell, like, this is really an aggressive go out the gate. It falls apart, I think, in my opinion, on Quantum of Solace. But I think it's a great debut for a new Bond, and absolutely what the franchise needed back in 2006.
It was Bond who looked like he could get hurt as he was hurting people, and he certainly did. So, 11:10 tonight, ITV1. We know you've seen it before, but it's Bond, James Bond. And here's a chunk from the trailer when you get to know how Bond gets the 007 by offing two bad guys. Here we go.
Your file shows no kills, Bond. But to become a 00, it takes 2. How did you die? Your contact? Not well. You needn't worry. The second is... Yes. Considerably.
The man was Le Chiffre, private banker to the world's terrorists, which would explain how he could set up a high-stakes poker game at Casino Royale in Montenegro. If he loses this game, he'll have nowhere to run. You're the best player in the service.
The Treasury has agreed to stake you in the game. But if you lose, our government will have directly financed terrorism. I will be keeping my eye on our government's money and off your perfectly formed house.
You noticed.
I say. So the sexist boot and the chat-up boot was on the other foot then, or on the other sex, which is quite a clever, again, answered one of the criticisms about Bond as a kind of enduring hero for our times. So that's my first recommendation, Casino. I think Dr. No's being shown over the weekend on one of the ITV 2 or 3 channels as well. And your second recommendation is a film I've not even heard of, I must confess, but I'm loving the sound of the synopsis. So tell us more, please, Van.
So, Saturday night, 9 p.m. on Channel 4, we've got Dog, from 2022. This stars Channing Tatum. It is also, I think it's produced by and co-directed by Channing Tatum, with his producing partner Carolyn Reed, who in turn had co-written the script. And he's loosely based on Channing Tatum's own experience going on one last road trip with his dying dog, who I think's name was Lula. He's now rewritten that into a sort of Turner and Hooch style narrative in which he's an injured soldier, a war vet, who just wants to go back into service, wants a new rotation. And the only way they'll let him back in light of his injuries is if he takes his fallen comrade's dog on a road trip to said fallen comrade's funeral. They hate each other, but they'll bond along the way. You know what I mean? It's one of those. It's Jim Belushi and K9.
I must say, I can't understand how this film passed me by completely, because it took on a rescued dog to Bordeaux French Mastiff because of Turner and Hooch. I love any film involving dogs, even if it's talking dogs like the dreadful Air Bud movies. This sounds a belter, this film.
Absolutely, and I know what an absolute soft serve you are for a K9 in need, sir. On which note, honestly, enjoy this. It's got a madcap sense of humour. Channing Tatum's just got an absolutely twisted sensibility that really works. It's kind of 12A, but it works ish for kids, depending on how lenient you are. But it's got teeth. It's got a lot of fun to it. You can see this, as I say, Saturday night, 9 p.m. Channel 4. This is Tatum, Chantate, and the dog broing out in the car.
What? What is your deal, man? Come on. You're slobbering all over my seats. Maybe just take the crazy down. Just like one notch. Just one notch, that's it. Maybe we could get along. And if we get along, maybe we could even have some fun and send Riley off right. Doesn't that sound nice, dog? I'm all you got. I'm it. It's just me.
Wow, I'm loving the sound of that one. Now, Saturday, for reasons best known to the BBC, or tomorrow afternoon, in fact, the BBC 2, has become Elvis afternoon. And I'm thinking he was born on January the 8th. He died sometime in August. Why have they chosen May? I've got no idea, but I'm glad they have, because they're showing not one but two of his most successful films. One is a kind of slice of social history as well. This one is my Saturday recommendation. BBC 1, Saturday afternoon, 1 o'clock. do you ever get? That's meant to be my version of G.I. Blues. Elvis, of course, inducted into the army. He went in 1958. He served in the, I think, two corps, isn't it, an artillery tank corps, effectively, based over in Germany. Never made it to the UK to perform, but he set foot on Prestwick soil, Scottish soil, travelling back to the States at some stage. And the Colonel very cleverly kept him in the public eye. They recorded lots of songs before he went into the army. Regular press updates, although he did probably train as a soldier. I think he became maybe made corporal or even sergeant. And so when he came out, Colonel Tom, in his more Machiavellian era, when he was more on it as far as films went, had arranged G.I. Blues about an American in Germany. Juliet Prowse is in it. It was fantastic in Can. The songs aren't bad. A couple of the set routines are a bit cheesy, but it's a real slice of social history because it shows you how Elvis was regarded as he returned as this all-conquering king of show business, about to go into his movie career, which I think he made something like 30 films, most of them terrible, but this isn't a bad beginning for those terrible films. So it's 1 o'clock, Saturday afternoon. We've spoken many times about Elvis movies. My favourite is King Creole, I think, and I do love the pre-army ones. This is good. A couple of the other late, there's one called Roustabout with Barbara Stanwyck, which was good. I think when he had good actors to go up against, like in King Creole, it's Caroline Jones and Walter Matthau, he raised his game. After a while, he was sleepwalking through these parts, and there's an interview, I've seen the transcript of the interview, somebody said, what's your new movie about? He said, I play a millionaire helicopter pilot who's ready to give up his family's fortune for love. And the reporter says, have you played that part before? He said, only 1 million times. That's what it dwindled down into by the end of it. But this film is something slightly different. I mean, are you an Elvis movies fan, the kind of 60s cheesy ones particularly?
I am, and you can very much thank my grandmother for that. She was an Elvis fanatic, so I saw all of these at different points throughout my life. My personal favourite, in a very weird way, is Jailhouse Rock. I'm not going to lie. That's
a cracker. The whole rhythm section was the Purple Gang. In this, though, it's G.I. Blues. There's even a nodding reference to early rock and roll Elvis in this film. 1 o'clock, tomorrow afternoon on BBC Two. Here we go. Attention!
I got those 1, 2, 3, 4 occupation G.I. Blues. From my G.I. hat to the heels of my G.I. shoes.
Yes, America's most talked about, written about ex-GI is here to show the world there's been some changes made by that rugged tour of duty with the battling tankers. See him swing out with his buddies to take West Germany by storm.
Great Special's got a special way to go.
I was joining in there, much to the embarrassment of my co-presenter, Alex Owens, on that front. And my next recommendation is, for me, a kind of... It's a monolith, basically, in that anybody considering making a Western...
You love this movie.
I tell you why, writing about Westerns has to give The Outlaw Josie Wales a chapter on its own, because it's as the Western was dying as a kind of cinematic form. Okay, Sam Peckinpah was still alive, and he was making Westerns, but they weren't doing well at the box office, and he was going through his final decline. Clint Eastwood kept the torch alive, and he made Westerns that were unlike... I mean, I like Dances with Wolves. I loved Open Range, but there's something somber about the slowness, and there's something... There's not the kind of human spark you get in the film like Outlaw Josie Wales, which is a very funny film as well, a very moving film as well, a very violent film as well. They've got cowboy hats on and guns and horses. What's not to love? And it's about a guy whose family get killed, murdered by these kind of renegade Union officers, Civil War style-y, and the Outlaw Josie Wales becomes an outlaw, meant to get vengeance on these hideous people, and he wants to be a loner. He doesn't want to make any human commitments, which means, of course, inevitably, where the comedy comes from, as he goes on his outlaw way, he constantly gets people who he can't shake off following him. There's an old Native American former chief. There's what they used to call a squaw. I mean, it's just a great film, this one. It's nice and long as well, 3 hours, which is one of the other reasons I love it, and it's a great time for it. If you've got work Monday morning, set the record for The Outlaw Josie Wales, 10 o'clock, Sunday night, ITV4, What's Not to Love? I mean, Pale Rider in the 80s got a lot more better reviews than this one. I think Pale Rider's a little bit of a Western by numbers compared to this, because there's some real genuine laughs in this one.
Yeah, I feel like this one was more a sort of sign of where Eastwood was going to go as far as like doing new things within the Western genre. And you can sort of draw a direct line between like this and 3 decades later, like Unforgiven.
Yeah.
Like I feel like there's something of a through line there.
I think his 2 best films from this era were High Plains Drifter, which is almost a European art film at times, and this film, which is also a Western precursor to elements of Every Which Way But Loose. Anyway, it's on 10 o'clock, Sunday night, on ITV4. Here's a chunk of the trailer. God, I love this movie.
Hound this whales to kingdom come. Because of what you did here today, I've got to kill that man. Well, he'll have to run for it now. And hell is where he's headed.
Clint Eastwood is the outlaw Josie Wales.
Well, not a hard man to track. Leaves dead men wherever he goes. Get out of the way, fool!
If I get to liking someone, they ain't around long.
I notice when you get to disliking someone, they ain't around for long either.
Well, the one that everyone's so scared of, Al. Yeah.
We got the Josie Wales, Abe. We got reward money coming.
You're wanted, Wales.
You a bounty hunter?
Yeah, he's got to do something for a living these days.
Dying ain't much of a living, boy.
Boom! I love that line. Dying ain't much of a living boy. I've been calling the end gang of it. So that's the Outlaw Josie Wales, 10 o'clock Sunday night, ITV4, and your final recommendation, please. Some critics say, or said at the time, has a certain kind of Western tinge, does it not?
Indeed, following off of the Outlaw Josie Wales, we've got what's effectively a sci-fi remake of High Noon. So, like, just short of 3 decades after the release of High Noon, Peter Hyams, wanting to direct a western, as he admitted, came up with Outland, which would go on to star Sean Connery, which is the same plot as High Noon, in which a sheriff has to solve a series of murders in a remote, mining colony in the original. But rather than Colorado, this one's on the Jupiter moon of Io. In fact, the movie was originally called Io, except they had to change the title because people kept picking it up and thinking it was called 10. So, which makes all the sense in the universe. Yeah. It's also, for special effects nerds out there, this was the very first movie to use a new technology called introvision, which is basically front projection. We're used to rear projection through Wizard of Oz and things like that, where they would project onto a matte screen behind the actors. This one, they actually did it in front of, as well as behind and mid. It's a whole revolutionary thing. Check out Corridor Crew on YouTube for more on it, but fascinating thing in visual effects history, but also just a badass Sean Connery performance as, while still in the early stages of losing his hairline, goes on this almost Philip Marlowe-like High Noon quest through the moons of Jupiter.
I must say, Peter Hyams, you mentioned, I think he wrote this, or you could almost say adapted it, and he made a lot of the early, he made Capricorn 1 about the fake moon landing, conspiracy thriller. He also, I think, made a film I thought no film could properly follow 2001, but 2010 wasn't a bad film.
Actually.
And he was involved in that, and I think he made Jean-Claude Van Damme's second best film after Hard Target. He made Time Cop. So he's got a lot of form in this film area.
I'm so glad you said that. I'm so glad. I love Time Cop, but I just didn't want to be the meathead that had to say it first. I'm sorry. But I'm pro Time Cop all the way. Absolutely.
So very pro Peter Hyams. And when can we see this outer space western masterpiece? A space opera, I suppose you'd call it.
This is on the Paramount Network on Sunday night at 11:10, and do check this out or at least record it. This one is a banger.
Huge thanks to Van Connor, top man himself. I think the off-screen podcast being rested this week. We'll be back with a bang next week, no doubt, with Furiosa, the latest installment in the Mad Max saga. Meanwhile, it's Outland, it's out there, it's Sunday night. I'm going to watch it.
Are you Dr. Lazarus?
Yes, take 2 aspirin and call me in the morning. That's a doctor joke. Are you the new marshal?
Yes. I'd like to talk to you for a few minutes.
I got an alibi. I got 4 people who'll swear they were playing poker with me.
I've never heard that one before. That's really funny. I would like a report of all of these incidents that have happened during the past 6 months. I'd like it really soon, or I might just kick your nasty ass all over this room. That's a marshal talk.
That's your marshal talk. Great stuff there from Van Connor, of course. We're live till 5 on talkSPORT and on Talk, but for the moment, that's a wrap.